Welcome to the Bubblewrap Podcast. I'm Ashley Walker from HSE Advice UK, and we're here to protect your business and make safety pop. Hi, we're back. Sorry. Hiya.
Hi.
You've not been here for a while.
No, I'm not. No, it's been a while.
Yeah, what about guests?
Oh no, I've been kind of pushed out.
Aw. Poor you.
Happy to be back.
Yeah, you've been doing loads of videos though and stuff. So.
Yeah, I've been doing other things to try and keep myself busy.
Entertained. Yeah.
Keep your face out there.
Yeah. Well, most, I suppose, of your followers, you may have noticed that we're doing a lot more social media posts, trying to get messages out there, and you're generally the face of them.
Yeah. Not something I ever intended.
No, I know. Well, I remember the first time we did podcast recording, you tried to do a video, and how many takes was that video?
Yeah, no, it was...
Fuck it. I'm not doing it.
There was quite a few outtakes and no video to show by the end of it.
Yeah.
No, but I think I've seen to have...
You're like a pro now.
I wouldn't say a pro. Nowhere near a pro. You should see the process of me doing it, and it's it's
the
very
one long hour take that you just cut down. Yeah,
but
it's a good way of doing it, actually.
Yeah. It just means that we can get what we want to say, and we can get our message across. And if it's done in an hour long video cut down to 1 minute 55, so be it.
Yeah. And Georgia did her first video.
Yeah.
I was well impressed.
Yeah, she's been helping me out with like scripts and ideas and things like that. She's doing absolutely fantastically.
Yeah. Oh, she's getting right into it.
Yeah, she
remember
is.
when so Georgia's, obviously, if you've been following us for a while, she's our T-level student, but she's been working with us in the summer. And I said, what do you really want to get into? And it was like, a bit of social media and posts and different things. I was like, right, there you go.
Yeah.
You too.
Yeah,
off you go.
It's a bit of a match made in heaven, really. Match made in heaven, trying to get the words out there.
Yeah.
It was, she wanted to do a bit more social media stuff, and then that's something we were looking at and we wanted to do, and then, there we go. Yeah. So we're trying to make it happen, trying to keep her, sort of
entertained
as well, but also earning the experience that she wants to earn.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she's just finished her IOSH.
Yes.
Georgia has officially got her IOSH Managing Safely certificate.
She told me last week, and I was absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
I think I did a little dance for her and everything.
Yeah. I want to know how many other 18-year-olds that have got an IOSH. It sounds really sad, but I think she actually really enjoyed the course. It wasn't too boring because I kept looking over. I was like, "How are you doing? Is it boring?" No, I'm enjoying it actually. So it's a rare find.
I remember finding it quite interesting, and just because it's things that you're not really aware of until you do that sort of course.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sort of sparks my interest really in health and safety.
Was it?
It was a contributing factor.
So did you do your IOSH Managing Safely when you were in security? Is that what it was?
No, it's when I left security and I joined a reception team. And then sort of slowly integrating into the facilities team, which had a health and safety element. So that's why I did it. And that's what kind of sparked my interest in it.
Yeah.
So.
I felt bad for Tiff because when she joined, she obviously had an interest but hadn't had any qualifications yet. First, she's going to kill me. I had to do her IOSH Working Safely.
Oh, right.
Straight into the IOSH Managing Safely. I thought you might as well do Working Safely just to get, your toe in the water, see how you feel. But the problem is we use the same course provider, and the difference between Working Safely and Managing Safely is very minimal.
Yes.
But in a lot more detail, she was like, I'm doing the same thing. Which I felt like...
I did the Working Safely first, and that was like a day classroom course.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, and I think I viewed that as more of a sort of like, the work of making me do this type of thing, and and then when I did when they offered me the Management Safety course, I was like, go on in, why not? No, I'll give it a go. And
seize an opportunity.
And that one was it was part classroom or a virtual classroom, and then part sort of go away and do your own sort of coursework, and then obviously you had to do the final assessment, which is the risk assessment, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So
I actually didn't do any.
No?
I didn't do IOSH at all. When I finished uni, I went on a grad scheme to a design and build management consultancy who had a health and safety, well, they were called a business assurance team, which is what we do. So I joined them as a grad, just with because I did construction management at uni, not health and safety, and went to them and did my grad scheme, and they put me straight on the NEBOSH. So I didn't even do IOSH working on management.
So you got chucked right in at the deep end.
Straight, oh my God. I swear my boss Mark at the time, I thought he was going to sack me, because I did the first NEBOSH unit, which was it's all changed now, but it was the original sort of general certificate was your first unit. I did construction, so the second unit was different. So I passed the first unit. I failed my construction unit, which is considering I've worked in construction for years beforehand, obviously the concentration of a bloody mole. And then he did like a test with us in the office, and I expected to get my construction certificate test, and he blooming tested me on the management one, which had passed, it must have been a year before, and obviously hadn't kept up with studying and stuff, and I failed that miserably. He was like, that's it. I actually thought I was going to be sacked for that. But eventually got my head in the game and passed it with flying colours. Yeah, and I actually enjoyed the project part of that, because I had to do an on-site, it's all different now, but an on-site assessment, an audit / wasn't just a risk assessment, it was a full audit inspection on a site.
Also, anyone going through the NEBOSH now knows that it's now it's broken up into two. It's broken up into different elements, but two sections. So you've got NG1 and NG2, and NG1 being your that's your basically your exam at the end, and it's a 24-hour open book exam. Yeah. And I was like, I don't do well on exams, and I thought,
I am shocking at exams.
I was
open book. I'm all right. But I generally, what my memory's like. It's like a sieve. If I don't write something down, I'm an avid note taker. Yeah. So, and I've learnt that sort of coping mechanism is if I'm in a meeting, I write notes, or type it on my laptop or whichever, or make notes on my phone, because my memory's like a sieve. So exams don't set well for me.
No, I've never done well in exams, and I was more freaked out that it was an open book exam, so I was like, I've never done an open book exam.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, and I think I sort of accidentally fell into that sort of that trap of, so I can have all my resources, I can have my notes, I can have the internet, I can have all that. It should be a doddle. And then I started watching YouTube videos on how to do the exam, and sort of how to go about answering the questions and things. And every one of them said, it's not easy.
It's not. Yeah, but NEBOSH isn't easy.
No.
I think people just assume that NEBOSH is a quick and easy course. No. It is not, people.
It took me, I think, 6 months to do the learning.
Right.
Partly because that was, I know you can do it in 2 weeks, but that's classroom style. So and
I'm not good in a classroom either.
No, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to just do it in my own time. And obviously, the way I did it was around work, so I was running an hour here and an hour there, a couple hours on a Friday, sort of studying. Yeah. And
you've got to do a lot of studying outside of it. I remember the evenings spent.
So, right, yeah. Well, it was 6 months to do the learning, and that's all the elements. And then when it came to, once I'd done all the learning, I was like, right, I've got to study now for the exam, and I've got to do the practical assessment, which was a risk assessment.
Yeah.
And whilst I was doing that, I think that took me about a year, close to a year, to do the studying. And I was like, right, I'm now at a comfortable stage, and I thought I'm going to book me my exam. I made sure I booked it like 2 or 3 months, sort of ahead of time. Yeah. And then I knew, right, I've got 2 or 3 months now to cram it all in, get it all on, basically off the paper and into the head, and then go for it. And thankfully it paid off.
It did pay off, well done.
First time, first attempt, and I was really dreading the...
And that's an achievement in itself, first attempt, because the pass... I mean, sorry, not the pass mark, but I think the percentage of people who pass NEBOSH is very low.
I think, overall, as a general, I see statistics from like there's a company out there that help people out with their NEBOSH and things like that, you know, and they have quite high, you know, with the students that go through them, they have quite high. I think it's like 89% through them. When you look at the overall, I can't remember what it is. I'm not gonna try and hazard a guess, but it's a lot lower than that.
I mean, there are some very, very good trainers out there. Yeah, I follow a lot of health and safety trainers, and you know, you do meet some, you go, oh, I couldn't sit on your course. It's like drab, but some are really engaging. It's the engaging part, and I think that's, you know, especially with someone like me whose memory's awful. If I'm engaged in a conversation about something, I remember it really well. Yeah. But if I'm being taught something from a PowerPoint slide, talked at, it just straight over. Yeah. No,
if I have it written down, and it's something I can go over and over and over and over, then it sort of tends to stick, and then that's how I sort of learn best.
Well, I then decided I wasn't going to do my NEBOSH diploma.
Oh, right.
I actually started my NEBOSH diploma when I was working at an engineering firm and was going to college one day a week.
Right. Yeah.
And then went through like some personal stuff and ended up not finishing it. But whilst I was going through it, I maybe got through half of it and went, this is not for me. I know I'm not going to do well. I changed and I started my masters instead. Oh, right. So I went to Nottingham Uni to do workplace health and wellbeing. So it's more the occupational health side to safety. And absolutely loved doing that because I love coursework. I love doing research, getting my teeth into something. Really loved that. But you know what really annoyed me was the fact that when I started the masters, it was supported by IOSH. Right. So it was accredited. Yeah. Well, no, I don't know if it was accredited or affiliated, whichever, by IOSH. So I would have got my grad IOSH level, right, to then get my full membership. And halfway through, they cut ties. Oh. So $10,000 it cost me, my masters. Personally, I paid for it. Yeah. Well, paid for it over time. Yeah. I'm still paying for it. It was a student loan. I did have $10,000 lying around. And then didn't get my grad IOSH at the time, what it was. So yeah, I was royally peed off with that.
Yeah, so before I did the NEBOSH, I was looking at that NCRQ.
Yeah. And I was well up for the NCRQ.
To me, I had both. Like I printed out two sort of information packs, one for NCRQ and one for NEBOSH, and I was going over it, and I was going over NEBOSH, and I was like, right, okay, which one's the best for me, trying to weigh up my options, and I thought I was going to go for NCRQ, although it's the less popular and not as well known, and it doesn't carry the same weight as NEBOSH does, or did. It's the learning style, so because it was more practical. It was a lot more coursework based. It was more in the workplace, evidence in what you're doing, and that to me resonated a bit more with me. Yeah. So
I was really geared up for doing the diploma.
Yes.
And I know my colleague at the time, Andy, he was doing his diploma and he was showing me all the coursework and everything, and it looked really engaging, really interesting. The projects that they gave you looked really good. Yeah. And I was absolutely gutted when it all went.
They scrapped it
to put.
And so I was a bit gutted about that, and I thought, right, well, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and do the NEBOSH now. Yeah. And obviously it all turned out well in the end, but I think that one would have been a really good course if it was able to continued.
But saying that, it was announced the IOSH diploma has been brought out, which we've been looking at. But so if anyone wanted an alternative to NEBOSH, then I think that might be. I know.
Has results come back from that yet?
Oh, I've no idea. I've not looked.
Yeah.
I think it only came live this year.
Yeah. So I thought it was due. I remember seeing something that was due summertime. Yeah. The first round of results from that. From the first courses. Yeah. Were due out. So interesting to see.
Yeah, and the prices looked quite good. And obviously there's the alternative being the MVQ route. Yeah. Which I suppose, depending on where you are in your career, what would work best for you. NVQ would work well for us because we work with different clients. We do different types of work for those clients.
Yes.
Each of the criteria, we can easily submit evidence of stuff we do.
We've got quite a varied repertoire of issues and experiences from various clients.
Yeah,
as you say, so.
And I suppose when I was looking at the NVQ side, I was, a EHSQ manager employed in an engineering company. Didn't work as well because, you have your set role as a health, safety, quality manager. You do particular stuff, but you don't cover all of the requirements within the NVQ to submit evidence for. And I was, I could have gone back years to when I was, the original consultancy firm I worked for had evidence, but it had to be within the last, I think it was 2 years, I can't remember, last year. Oh, right. No, I think it was 2 years. So an MVQ would work well for us now. Yeah. But I do think, but the thing is with the MVQ, you're not actively learning something for your next step up. It's to demonstrate your sort of competence at your level. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
You're not in a classroom, you're not learning. I think the diploma, IOSH and NEBOSH, whichever, you're learning to then be examined on.
Like the NCRQ, it's a more practical approach to learning. Yeah. And I think, that...
But you're submitting evidence to qualify against a standard.
Yes.
It's not... I mean, I might be seeing it wrong. You never know. But,
The thing is, it's one of those things where it's... you won't know until you try it. You'll have an idea of what works for you. Yeah. I knew a practical approach was going to work best for me. But I could have been wrong. I could have gone down the NCRQ route and gone, oh no, this isn't working well. And actually found better results with NEBOSH.
Yeah.
So, I think it's...
NEBOSh is the main...
I don't want to say it's trial and error because it's a very expensive trial and error.
Oh, yeah, you can't... You have to choose carefully before you pay upfront or whichever.
You just do need to weigh up how do you learn best.
Yeah.
And how do you...
Yeah, really think about it.
Yeah, what speaks to you more?
Yeah.
Doing coursework and practical assessments and, submissions.
Yeah.
Or just a buttload of learning.
Yeah.
and then having to spit it out.
I feel like I need a bit of both.
Yes.
I like the learning, but I like the coursework. I like sitting down and really reviewing something, and exams are just not my forte at all.
See,
but we'll go on.
So when I did the NEBOSH, the NG1 exam, absolutely shit in a brick, and I managed to get through it. But I did the NG2 first, so I got that sort of ready.
You can
you don't have to do them like NG1 and then NG2. You can do the NG2 whenever.
How long ago
and it's a strange one because you can start getting it ready months in advance, and then you book your 2-week sort of submission date, and that you got basically then 2 weeks from that date to that date to submit it, and that's where you do all your final edits. And so what I did was, after I spent about 3 months doing my risk assessment, and it turned out to be about 50 pages thick, and it was of an entire warehouse, and all the hazards and stuff that come with sort of associated with warehousing. And when I submitted that, it was I sort of booked the date. I can't remember what date it was now. So I think it was in October or something. So submitted the date rolled round for submission, and I sort of right, okay, I'm just going to give it a couple of days. I'm not going to submit it straight away. I'm going to give it a couple of days, read over it, go over it, and I found a few mistakes and things. I was like, right, okay, better sort those out. And then after a couple of days, submitted it, and then that came back first. And then I did my actual exam.
Okay. So you can mix it up.
Yeah.
That's quite good.
The best way that suits you.
Yeah.
I think, but the actual risk assessment, the practical assessment of it, I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's my favourite part, is the actual practical element.
Yeah, that one I was a bit more confident. I was a bit like,
Well, everyone always will be when they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Coursework or exams.
And what scared me most about the practical assessment is there was very, very little margin for error. So unlike the exam, if you get something wrong, it's like you just get marked down, or you lose a mark. It's not the end of the world, as long as you make up marks in it elsewhere. Yeah. But with the practical assessment, it was if you get like a date, like a slightly unrealistic, or hazard that's not quite in the correct grouping or something, they refer you.
Oh.
And basically, which a referral is basically a fail, and then you have to rebook it and retake it again.
No.
And it's my fear was getting like a date wrong. They don't tell you what you've got wrong.
Oh,
they just say that no, exactly. They just say they just come back as a referral.
So frustrated.
And then you've got to try and work out where you went wrong.
Right.
And if it's just a simple case of an unrealistic date, you literally change the date from like 6 months to 3 months and then resubmit it.
And it's passed.
It's such a lengthy process.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, that's true.
Fairly costly as well.
Yeah.
I think it's £180 for each thing. I can't remember.
I have no idea, to be honest.
It's about £180. I think I could be wrong. Right. For both, per assessment.
Oh, per assessment.
Yeah.
Right.
So you get one of them wrong, it's another £180 down the drain.
For one date.
Yeah, for
that'd
a
be
date.
So annoying.
And that, I don't want to put anyone off of it, but it just goes, just check it.
Yeah.
It's...
And, when we're not moaning, we're debating all the different options for training. For any person who wants to get into health and safety, I highly recommend doing your IOSH first.
Yes.
See how you feel. Yeah. And then deciding, NEBOSH, IOSH, degree, whichever route.
It's a good way to dip your toe in, go through the IOSH. And, you could literally wet your toe now and, do the working safely first. And that gives you a sort of brief sense of what what health and safety is about. And then you could sort of progress onto the managing and then onto sort of further education as it were. And I think that would be a great way of doing it.
I think so. Wonderful.
Anyway,
right, thank you. Thanks everyone. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe to our channel. All links to our social media are in the description below, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment or message us. Bubblewrap, to protect your business.